If you are in the market for a project management software, you are going to find many different options. So, how do you evaluate them? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. The top 10 project management software for 2023. So, let's dive in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with digital transformation strategy, ERP selection, ERP implementation. So let's get back to today's topic, which is going to be the top 10 project management software for 2023. Now, when you look at different options, number one, you are going to find a lot of them which are going to be tightly integrated as part of the suite, which is also called ERP, but there are also going to be standalone software. You are going to feel that the standalone software are going to be slightly easier, but overall, there are always going to be pros and cons of whatever you are going to choose. And depending upon what you are trying to accomplish, in your business model as part of your operational workflow, an appropriate option might make sense. Sometimes there is also confusion about what is a project. Sometimes the project boundaries may never end. So you might not have a real project, and that could pose challenges in terms of which software will work for your workflow. So these are all of the challenges that you need to keep in mind when you look at different options that are available in the market. So now let's look at the list. WorkZone is designed primarily from the ad and marketing agency's perspective. In fact, most of the software options that you are going to find in the market are going to be designed for either the software development firms, or they are going to be for ad or marketing agencies, because they have the bulk of market share overall from the project management perspective. Now, one of the layers that you need to keep in mind overall when you look at these options is going to be your internal project management versus the client or the external project management. These two differ. Most of the options, 80% of the options that we have in the market, are probably going to be designed more from the internal project management perspective. Typically, for those, the costing, the billing is probably not going to be as relevant. And that's why the external project management software are going to feel slightly more ERP like. They are going to be perceived as slightly more difficult. So now, in the case of WorkZone, this is designed from the ad and marketing agency's perspective. The pros of this is going to be, number one, the portfolio view of all projects is there, which is a great addition. Typically, you are going to have multiple layers inside the project. Some systems may be able to support just the project itself. They might not be able to support the portfolio view. Some might not be able to support the sub projects. And depending upon the industry, depending upon the workflow, sometimes you might have scenarios of sub project when you are going to have the portfolio management. So in this particular case, this is slightly more sophisticated software, so that's why you have the portfolio view. Now, the permission level is going to be another factor overall. The leaner project management software are not going to have as much granularity overall in terms of the permission based on the project document or based on the users. So you have great granularity built as part of this particular software. And then templates is going to be the other thing that you need to keep in mind overall when you look at the software, because if software itself does not support the template, then you need to start the project from scratch. So in this particular case, they can support very sophisticated templates. So that's a big plus for these guys. Now, in terms of the cons, you have the UI is not going to be as great because this is slightly more legacy software. They have not been able to innovate overall from the user experience perspective. So that's a challenge that you are going to get. The other layer that is typically relevant with the software is the batch capabilities are not going to be as great. And typically, you might not be able to vet the batch capabilities when you are looking at the demos, just because you are not experimenting them or you are not looking at them. So, batch capabilities for this one is going to be slightly limited. Now, the user workflow capabilities is the another thing, because if you have, let's say, your clients, you have admins, you have other users, and you would require the granularity for all of those users in terms of what data you would like to show them. So that's going to be a little bit of limitation as well. That's what users reported for this software. So that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is ClickUp. And similar to WorkZone, this is also designed for remote and agile development teams. So this is still going to be primarily for software. The WorkZone is for the ad and marketing agencies. This is going to be slightly more for the software development firms. And the workflow for remote workers is always going to be slightly more unique. So if you have a lot of remote workers as part of your business model or as part of your workflow, then ClickUp might make sense. The pros for ClickUp is going to be, number one is this is designed for the software development firms. Their customer support is slightly better overall when you look at their reviews. That's what users have reported. And the automation of administration tasks. So if you are looking for the automation scenarios, now most of the project management software, they can enable a lot of different automation tasks on top of the core layer. So if you're simply sending a message on Slack or Teams, those are going to be some of the automation tasks, or it could be approval of billable time or sheet. So you can build these workflows, and that's where a ClickUp is really good. Now, the cons for ClickUp is going to be this is not really designed for external facing project management. So you are looking at challenges with billing and project costing. That's not built up as part of the core. The nested formulas are going to be another con. So overall, when you look at the workflow, it's going to be great. But when you are looking at, let's say, complex Gantt charts, or you are looking to build the schedule, typically the formulas become very critical. And most of the project managers, they appreciate the way your formulas are going to be inside your spreadsheet. They would like to see the same thing inside your project management software. So that's going to be another con that your power users may struggle a little bit. And the even with this, your batch management as well as the CSV capabilities are going to be slightly more limited. So that's number 9. Now, number 8 on our list is Jira. And Jira is one of the most popular project management software out there. For the most part, this is popular among the software development or software like firms for the most part, just because it has very sophisticated requirements management module. You are going to have bug tracking, you are going to have integration with your GitHub. So for software developers, this is a gold mine. But Jira is designed more from the internal project management perspective. You are going to find add-ons for the timesheet tracking, but the add-ons are not going to be enough for you to be able to enable the billing, the project costing. So if you are doing anything other than software project management for the internal projects, then Jira might not be the best fit. The pros for Jira is going to be the requirements management and bug tracking. Again, that is for software development firms. The agile software development and internal project tracking. The requirements, QA, and project management teams are going to be in one place. So with the other software, let's say if you get a PSA module, and with the PSA module, you might get the billing, etc., but requirement management is going to be separate. So you need to decide what is going to be a critical success factor for you, whether the financial centric functionality or is it going to be the requirements, bug tracking. If you are doing internal project management, most likely the requirements management, the bug tracking is going to be slightly more critical than your external facing project management. The con for Jira is going to be the time tracking may require the add-on and might not be the best fit for the client facing projects. And the software development boilerplate that you are going to find inside Jira might be overwhelming. Let's say if you are doing construction project management or any other project management, not for profit project management inside Jira, then that could be overwhelming. So that's number 8. Now, number 7 on our list is Airtable, and Airtable is the newer breed of the project management software. There are 3 comparable, and we are going to be covering all of them as part of this list. Number 1 is Airtable, the second is Monday.com, the number 3 is Smartsheet. And the way these software packages are designed, they are designed for slightly more custom project management workflow. They are going to be slightly more extended spreadsheet where you have a lot more flexibility technically to be able to accomplish different things. Now, there are always going to be pros and cons of the software. While you have the flexibility, but you also open up can of worms if you don't have a very expert project management team. If you did that, or if you have project managers who have experience with software implementation, then you might not find as much challenges with the software because they know issues with master data governance or how to streamline processes before you can model them into your data or software. And if your team is not going to be as experienced, you are going to get far more backlog. Your broken processes are going to be modeled, as part of the software, and because of that, you might see a lot of downstream issues. But when you look at Airtable has its own sort of nuance in terms of how it is designed. So most of them are going to be custom tool, but Airtable specifically have slightly more graphic design or the engineering centric workflows where they can accommodate 3D objects for the engineering centric firms that other tools such as your Smartsheet or Monday.com might not be able to do it. The Airtable is still designed for the custom workflows, as well as the ecosystem is going to be very strong overall for Airtable because it's very popular. So if you have very custom workflows, for example, let's say if you have not-for-profit or real estate firms where the project management workflow, you cannot find a project management tool that fits your workflow, and you definitely have to customize it, and then your Airtable is probably going to make sense. The cons for Airtable is going to be the workflow and notifications might not be as advanced as some of the other software that we have on the list, for example, Monday.com. And the other challenges that you are going to get with Airtable is the interface is not as intuitive as Monday.com. Now, that could be debatable as well, depending upon which software you learned first. But overall, when you look at this from the user experience design perspective, the Airtable is going to have far more layers overall, and sometimes it could be difficult, and you might require a lot more training overall on the tool than something like Monday.com, which is going to be slightly easier to pick up. The project costing and billing will require the consulting hours. So that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is Monday.com. So with Monday.com, this is going to be slightly easier than Airtable overall in terms of the interface layout. It is still designed for very custom workflows. And then you are going to find the templates that are going to be flavored for specific industries. So that's the plus with Monday.com. Now, the challenges that you are going to get overall in terms of the deeper functionality or the advanced functionality, when you want to link, let's say, the task across the boards, you might get some challenges. And the project costing billing, if you have to do that, that will require a lot of consulting hours in general, even with Monday.com. So that's number 6. Now, number 5 on our list is Smartsheet. So the difference between a Smartsheet versus Airtable or Monday.com, Smartsheet is designed more from the project manager perspective. It's going to have the spreadsheets view the way project managers used to work on the project management tool. In general, it's going to be very formula centric approach, the way anybody has used Microsoft project in the past, they are probably going to like a smart sheet. The limitations that you are going to get with the smart sheet is the formulas are not going to be as deep, as intuitive. You are going to find a lot more limitations. The people who have used Microsoft project, they might not appreciate smart sheet as much, just because of the lack of depth that they are going to face or feel while using this. So the pros for smart sheet is going to be that spreadsheet look, the customizable automation are going to be easy to use. So any sort of automation that you are doing on top of your spreadsheet, whenever you are going to require, let's say if you update a field in your one spreadsheet, and if you want to see the results, or the results should be updated on the other sheet, or you're simply sending an email as part of that workflow, you should be able to do that easily inside your smart sheet. Now the users can easily toggle between various project views. So whether you are looking at the Kanban view, list view, spreadsheet view, whatever view you want, so those capabilities are designed as part of the smart sheet. It's going to be slightly more intuitive, even though you can do this even with monday.com and airtable. With a smart sheet, it's going to be slightly easier, just because it's tailored for the project manager workflow. Now the cons with a smart sheet, it's going to be very similar to your monday.com airtable, which is going to be your billing and project cost tracking and performance with the larger sheets. So if your projects are going to be larger, if you're going to have a lot of line items as part of your project, then you might see some of the performance issues with your smart sheet. But that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is Asana. And Asana is loved by marketing teams. It's designed for content-centric marketing teams, and it is also loved by the software developers, just because it is designed for that internal project management, just like your ClickUp or Work Zone. Asana is going to be very similar to Jira overall, just because they are serving a similar audience, even though Asana is used by slightly more marketing firms than just the software development. So Jira is going to be used purely by software development, just because of the requirement management, the bug tracking. But Asana is also used by the marketers, the content development teams. So integration ecosystem are definitely going to be much bigger overall, just because of the popularity of the software. You should be able to track bugs just like your Jira, but the way your workflow is going to be, the companies that are not going to be in the software development space or in the marketing space, where they are doing client centric project management, they might feel that they need to wire a lot of workflows before this can be useful, just because this is not designed for the external project management. Now, the cons of Asana obviously is going to be that it is designed for that internal project management, and other industries relate with it. And then the project costing and client invoicing may require a lot more consulting efforts, development time on top of Asana. So that's the challenge that you are going to get, and that's number 4. Now, number 3 on our list is Kantata. And Kantata is the old Maven Link, and there were two different project management software, and then Kantata bought and rebranded them. They are part of the Salesforce ecosystem. So they are designed for Salesforce users. And when you are going to compare, let's say, these categories, when you are going to compare Kantata with your Asanas of the world, Jiras of the world, or Monday.com, etc. of the world. So here you are getting into the boundaries of PSA, and this is called professional services automation. Typically, PSA resided inside your ERP, because typically PSA contained that financial embeddedness or the accounting integration as part of your project management module. If you are going to be worried about the costing or the financial workflow, how you are going to be managing the cost, how you are going to be accounting the cost of those resources, how you are going to be doing the scheduling. So with the project management software, the scheduling is, or the operational aspect of the project management is going to be easier, because they are designed for that. But the financial aspect typically is missing, and that's why they feel slightly easier. So here in the Kantatas of the world, you are going to get the financial aspect slightly more. The reason for that is because these are client facing projects, and here for these industries, if you are not able to account for those hours, you will not be able to bill. So billability of those hours, the resource management of the hours, the client visibility is going to be far important for these categories of software. So Cantata falls into that. That's going to be external project management PSA centric category. So here the pros for Cantata is going to be number one, milestone tracking. And when you get into the complex project management scenarios where you are doing the client facing project management, if you are going to be doing expensive project management, whether it is going to be construction, software, or anything else, they typically like to track in terms of the milestones. You might have these milestones even in the case of, let's say, engineer to order or project management manufacturing, but there the project management is going to be very different. So here Cantata is still designed more from the professional services firms perspective, even though these guys can do the milestone billing as well. So Cantata is going to be still used by your accounting firms, law firms, professional services firms, because the kind of resources that you have as part of Cantata, it's going to be very similar to these firms. It is not designed for that engineer to order project manufacturing. Even construction may be a little bit of a challenge in managing in this particular software. So the pros are going to be milestone tracking, billing, the skill based resource scheduling. Typically, when you look at the project manufacturing or the construction, typically in those industries, you don't really have the challenges of skill based resourcing unless you are talking about something like automotive, where they need to worry about, let's say, welders, or sometimes the certification may be slightly important. But for the most part, the human resources are not going to be as expensive in general in those industries. So this would be applicable for industries where resources are very expensive, and those are going to be your law firms, accounting firms, software development firms, professional services firms, management consulting firms. So that's where Cantata really shines. The other benefits that you are going to get is they have two different products, one for your native Salesforce experience, and one is going to be slightly more external experience. So depending upon what you are trying to accomplish, sometimes your external might make sense. The reason for that is because they don't have to go through the Salesforce frills, and they are going to get slightly more standalone experience overall from the operational project management perspective. Some teams appreciate that if they have used a project management software, the simpler operational oriented project management software in the past, so they like that experience. And sometimes, I mean, if they are used to of that Salesforce interface, they are probably going to like the Salesforce flavored version a little bit more. But here you are looking at enterprise grade PSA functionality to manage your billing workflows, to manage your invoices. All of that is going to be part of your Cantata. Now, the cons with this is going to be that minimum 30 users requirement, and might be difficult for smaller companies, just because if they don't have as much accounting, project costing background, for them modeling data even inside Cantata may be more difficult, even though accounting is not as well embedded as you are going to find with ERP systems such as your NetSuite or Financial Force. But still, even then, modeling this is probably going to require a lot of consulting help. So for the smaller companies, if they don't really have either expertise, internal expertise, or cannot afford the consulting help, it might be a much harder lift. So that's number three. Now, number two on our list is Rike. And Rike is a very popular project management software out there. It's cloud native, the UI is extremely pretty. So companies generally like it. Now, this is favored typically by the project management teams that are going to be internal. You are looking at the software development firms or software development department of insurance, banking, finance, these industries where software development is going to be extremely prevalent. So typically, Rike is used by those teams. Now, the ecosystem with Rike is going to be substantial. Overall, you have a lot of options available in terms of integration. And let's say if you want to utilize any sort of plugins with it to complement the functionality that Rike offers. But overall, we are going to be using Rike for your external project management scenario where your billing is going to be challenging and you require that whole milestone tracking, revenue recognition. That's where Rike is really going to struggle. So the pros with Rike is going to be the comprehensive project management, the operational aspect of project management is not going to be a problem. The resource tracking is not going to be a problem. Utilization is not going to be a problem. But overall, when you look at that financial workflow of project management, Rike is not really designed for that. You are looking at a little bit more customizability overall in terms of the operational aspect of the workflow, just because the data is not as tightly integrated overall. So you can do a lot more customization in general to meet the team's needs or to match the workflows as per their needs. The teams are going to feel great overall, but then you are looking at a lot of admin effort in the back end just to produce the utilization reports, or as is said, to be costing out the project. That might be a challenge. Or if you have to print the billable time sheets, so if you're customizing a lot, then it might be easy, but then you are looking at a lot of consulting dollars as well as your internal time to be able to populate those workflows. And the other advantage that you are going to get with Rike is the security and granular permission needs are going to be slightly deeper, just because it's a very sophisticated project management software, at least from the operational perspective. Now, the cons of Rike is going to be it's really designed for that internal project management experience, not for external. The client billing is going to be another con that you're going to get with Rike. And invoicing would be the disconnected experience, limited pre-baked reports. The reports are not as many out of the box, so you can build those, but then you are investing time, you are looking at consulting effort to be able to do that. But that's number two. Number one on our list is teamwork. And teamwork, compared to all of the different software that we have on the list, it balances both of the perspective. It can do your internal project management, even though it might not be as sophisticated as your Asana or Jira. If you are going to be deep into your software development, or if you're looking for those agile user stories, you might not like it. But for the most part, the other companies that are going to be in slightly more client facing roles, and they are looking for just the project management, overarching project management needs, then teamwork is going to be a great fit. So any of the professional services firms that are going to like Cantata, they are probably going to like teamwork as well, just because of all of those workflows. When you talk about the milestone billing, invoicing, etc., that's where teamwork really shines. So the pros for teamwork is going to be that project and timesheet management, all of them are going to be in one place. So the financial analysis of your project, the micro profitability is going to be far easier, just because it is sitting in one place. Even though you still don't have those accounting workflows embedded as part of your transactions, you are not going to get the insights that you are going to get with your ERP. But for some companies that might not be ready for ERP, the standalone project management software such as Teamwork may still be a great fit. And the other advantage with Teamwork is going to be the unlimited client collaboration. So you still have the client users that you are getting, and they can see their documents, they can see where they are with the project, they can comment, etc. So that's a huge plus with Teamwork. Some of the other software on this list might charge for the client users, but Teamwork does allow unlimited client collaboration users. The con for Teamwork is the steep learning curve, just because of that financial workflow. If you are used to a very simple project management and you don't care for that financial workflow, then it's going to be a little bit of learning curve for you. It might not be easy for all teams that just don't care for that financial workflow. Integration options and the ecosystem is going to be limiting compared to your Asana or Jira. So that's going to be a con. And then you are paying a little bit more just because you have a lot more functionality baked as part of the software out of the box. So that's why Teamwork is going to be slightly more expensive per user. So that's number one. If you enjoyed this video, we are going to include a link for the detailed article that is going to have far deeper insights. So you may want to check that. Also, we publish this podcast in the audio form on Apple, Google, and Spotify. If you have not subscribed, you might want to do that. We publish these videos on a weekly basis. So if you have not hit the subscribe button, you might want to do that now. And if you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2023, we are going to include the link. So check that out. On that note, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.